Hey guys, welcome back. So, with the holidays coming up, I wanted to show you just a neat little hostess gift, or really it's just a cute little novelty gift that you can give anytime. Whether it was maybe you're putting together a wedding gift and you want to lay this on top or something when they open it and see these cute little things, or maybe somebody remodeled their house, you want to take them something. Just friends at work, church, somebody that you wanted to give something a little more than a card. This might be an option for you because we all need our dish rags. So now these are a little bit different. Most dish rags have a really loose weave. They're just kind of thin. This is heavy. They came from Walmart. They're like washcloths, really, but they're going to work. As you can see, I did this one. You can use, this is a twine. I wish I had used a jute. Wouldn't that have been pretty on this color especially? But that's something you can use. You can use ribbon. You can use regular thread or embroidery thread. Really whatever you have. Now, if you choose to use a regular thread, just know this. It's not going to be very thick like a twine, so your bow is probably not even going to show. You may want to instead just not worry about bows because they're not going to be there. But twine, as you can see, shows up quite nicely. Here's the back. The back, whenever I was making these stitches to pull the little legs together, I decided to just knot it off back here instead of putting a bow. It's just to your preference, really. But they're really cute, and there's a cute little poem I'll give you down below that you can print out and attach to it. I'll also read it and try to put a picture of the poem on the screen in case you want to use your phone and take a snapshot. One more thing just to point out real quickly. You can see how far up that I was putting my stitches. That's to create the little ruffle down here. So just don't get too close to the bottom, otherwise it's gonna just be a little, it'll just go up to a tight little knot down there instead of having a ruffle. So you can even come up further to keep a ruffle. And on this one I will come up further just to show you the difference, but you definitely don't want to go down too close to the bottom. Now on these, on a regular dish rag, you're probably not going to have this problem, but on these, one thing I noticed, because they're like a washcloth, they have this binding all the way around, and that's a lot of thickness right there. So when you're gathering, you want to avoid those places, putting your needle in, because it's going to be so tight around your needle, it's going to be hard to really gather it. And another thing about the needle, does not matter what kind of needle you have. When you if you do have to go to Walmart to get one, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see darning needles, you'll see sewing needles, embroidery needles, upholstery needles, just a wide variety. Don't worry about what it says. If you're doing crafts in particular, you're going to be looking at, are you using a twine or a ribbon, or are you using embroidery floss? Because embroidery floss or regular thread's very thin. The eye or the hole in the end of your needle doesn't have to be very big. In this case, though, you're going to want a wide hole so that you can get your ribbon through it. So it doesn't matter if they call this a darning needle or a sewing needle or what they call it. Just look at the eye. And now, you're not going to knot it at the end or anything like that. We're just going to start at the end. Now, this is the inside. That's important. And that's something you can kind of tell, let's just fold it over here in half. And you can see they're very similar, but you can definitely tell that this is the outer side of the pattern versus the inside. The inside just looks a little messier, a little paler, a little messier sometimes. So And you can even tell up here whenever you're looking at the stitching on the outside versus on the inside. You have more bulk on the inside. So once you figure out which is your inside and outside, that's important because you want this ribbon on the outside. So that means instead of starting right here, I'm going to come up from underneath it. And that's going to make sure that when I'm ready to tie off, it's on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to turn this for you. See, you can almost see the little holes where I've went through this one because I wasn't paying attention and I started on the inside and that wasn't going to work. You wasn't going to see the bow. That's the big difference. If you don't care and you're not going to use a bow, this part doesn't even matter. You just go across it. But if you want the bow, make sure that your ribbon is on the outside. Okay, and these little holes, I don't know if they're showing up on camera where I had pulled my ribbon out. When you wash this, those are just going to go away. So don't give that any thought. It's cotton. And you're going to make really wide stitches. And another thing to think about, because you want this loose enough that it's easy to get the ribbon through and it's easy to pull that ribbon to make it gather, you want to keep your needle away from these hard flat spots because that's a tighter weave. That's what's making it lay good and flat for you. They didn't put any loops into that. This is just a nice tight weave making your pattern. So you want to stay in where you can feel those little loops. And you just want to go across big stitches, okay? You don't have to worry about what they look like. You don't have to worry about if they're very straight. You just want some really big stitches going all the way across. If I look like I'm getting too close to coming up in the red, I just pull it back a few stitches or a few centimeters there, and you can see, just to avoid getting into that tight weave. And just keep going straight across. Now in this case, there's going to be more of a little stitch at the end because remember, I want to make sure that my ribbon is coming out on the outside. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of hold this piece and we're just going to pull that. And it'll gather it right up for us. And let me turn it toward you so you can hopefully see it a little better anyway. So you can see by keeping that stitch up away from the edge, you create your little ruffle down there. And that's why I said too, it doesn't matter if your stitches are straight or not, because once it ruffles, you know, you're not going to be able to tell. That's overthinking it when you want to do that. Don't worry about it. Alright, now I do like to keep these edges together like this, and that'll make sense in just a minute. So, you know, in other words, don't fold them under, keep them like this, where you can see the two edges. Now, if this is something that is going to be bumped around and jostled around, then you want to knot this instead of just going straight for a bow. Otherwise, like if you were getting ready to go to somebody's house and you're going to give it to them straight away, you could just tie a little bow because you know there's no danger of it coming untied. Whoops. But if it's going to be a while before you see them, and there's any chance at all that it could come untied, then knot it. That way, when you're ready to give it to them, you're not walking into a mess where your ribbon has slipped out. All right, now, because we kept that together, it's going to lay nicely. Put this out of the way. Since the bow is a little more to this side, I'm going to make this side. This the left side of the pants, or breeches, as they're called. Okay, I'm going to do one more like this, and then I'll be right back. Now, we're at the next part is going to be putting the two little legs together there. And that I'm going to start on the back. And you decide, you know, how far down you want it to come. That's really up to you. And even how many of the little cross hatches. If you wanted to do 3 of those, it would just tighten it up a little bit farther down. Like on this one. See where I stopped here? If you did another X, you would just have it just a little bit tighter going down. And that's perfectly fine. So what you want to do is I'm going to start on this side, and I want to be on the back because if you remember, I tied off on the back. So we're going to come up. Now on this part I did kind of come in close to the border because there's no gathering. I didn't go through the border just because this needle is so big, but I did want to come up close to it. So the little string is going to be on the back, and then I'm going to come down to my first, and you just decide how big you want these stitches to be. I'm going to go about here. You can kind of look at it and see what looks good to you. And then you're going to keep these, you know, pushed together to make sure it stays even. But you're going to come up straight across. Okay. So, again, let me pull that apart so you can see. We came up from the bottom and we went down at a diagonal. And then we came straight across. So the back is not going to have diagonals. You're going to come up, go at a diagonal, and come straight across. And then you're going to go at a diagonal again. White on white was probably not my best choice for this, huh? And then making sure we're still straight at the top, and it's okay if it gets off a 1/4 of an inch or so, it's not going to matter. This is just a cute little novelty gift. Okay, and so we're coming across. I'm just going to hold that steady and pull. I'm getting a little short on ribbon, so I thought about doing a 3rd one just to show you, but I'm afraid I may run out of ribbon. But we're going to give it a shot. Just to show you the difference in the little crisscrosses, how cute they'll look both ways. And if you have plenty of ribbon or twine, thread, whatever you happen to be using. Oops. Okay, and again, we're just pulling that. Make sure everything's still straight at the top. In my case with ribbon, I want my ribbon to lay flat. With twine, you don't have to worry so much. But if you're using ribbon, you might want to keep that in mind. Try to keep that ribbon laying flat. Okay. Okay, so once you've got your 3 in this case, and you've come back up straight across, remember it's always down, across, down, across, down, across. So once you're back there, you're not going to find, you're not going to make a new hole. When you crisscross coming up, you're going right back into the holes that are already there. All right, I'm running out of ribbon, but I think we can make it. We're going to come up and go straight across from this very first one over here. Boy, we barely made it with that, but we did. Now I'm going to flip this over. So now you can see on the back it looks like this. And we're just going to tie a little knot up here. Unless you want the back to have a bow on it, it's not necessary. Okay, so the breeches legs are put together. So all we have to do now is make the waistband. And the biggest thing to remember with this is to start on the outside so that you have the ribbon to tie a bow. And on this one, I'm going to come down maybe halfway in my little square there and just start working your way across. Again, these are very big stitches, so it's not like you have to be a seamstress to be able to do this. Okay, so we've got it all put together, and now I'm just adjusting my gathers a little bit there to make, the two even a little bit. And we're just going to tie off right up here. And again, just like I mentioned below, you can knot that if you want, or if you're going to be giving it away quickly to where it won't accidentally, come untied. Then you don't have to knot it. But otherwise, do knot it. Definitely knot it. And then put your bow over the knot. Now you don't have to enclose that. If it bothers you, of course you can, but you don't have to. Don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we have our little breeches done, and they're both cute. Like I said, this is a heavier duty, but as you can see, it works. So you can use this or what I would consider a regular dish rag that is a little bit looser weave. And then the poem I'm going to put below and on the screen, but it says, "Now don't get excited, don't be misled. These aren't for you, but your dishes instead. Just snip off the bow, take out the stitches. You've gained 2 dishcloths, but lost your breeches." So I thought that was really cute.